How do we learn? Why do we learn? And how do we apply what we learn in the real world? These are some of the questions I wanted to answer when I started this podcast. This is an audio and video show where I interview a diverse set of learners from the 21st century. On each episode of this show, I interview a guest who has a story to share about how they acquired a set of skills and knowledge in a creative and innovative manner. In the process, I hope to uncover a new understanding of learning as conceptualized, imagined, and narrated by the guest on our show. Today's guest, Priyanka Achhpeliya, is someone whose story has really inspired me. She's a fashion designer on a mission to rebrand Made in India by bridging the gap between Indian heritage textiles and the youth through her company Asman. She's skilled in trend analysis, cluster study, fashion styling, and most importantly, sustainable fashion. She's a strong design professional with a Bachelor of Design focused in fashion design from the National Institute of Fashion Technology in Hyderabad, and she also has an advanced diploma from Raffles Millennium International. She's currently pursuing a postgraduate certificate in entrepreneurship from IIM Vishakhapatnam. Her organization has been incubated at some of the top incubators in the country, and today she is here to share her story as a fashion designer and entrepreneur. In this season of learning stories, I'm really focused on young Indians doing amazing things to define the future of our country. So, Priyanka, to get started, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to interview you. I just want to know, what was the Priyanka like when she was growing up? What were you like as a child? What were some of your hobbies? Maybe tell me what school you went to and your parental influence. So, just a general open ended question to start off.
First of all, thank you for inviting me for the podcast. I was born and brought up in Vijayawada, which is a small city in Andhra Pradesh, and most people didn't even know about it then. So my schooling till my 12th standard, it was there itself, and people there are really conservative. So as a kid, I was a very silent girl. I'd never used to irritate anybody except my parents, and so. My father and so we have a family business in textiles, so we used to have suiting and shirting stores and stuff like that, ready-made stores. So like I've been around clothes ever since, textiles and clothes. So I loved, so I was a typical girl who had so many Barbies. So I loved dressing my Barbies. And I used to pick clothes for my parents as well, for myself, for my parents. But I did not know about fashion design then. I did not even know that a profession like that existed. So, it was in seventh standard when one of my friends told me that she wanted to be a fashion designer, and that's when I heard this term. I asked my dad, "कि ये होता क्या है? What is fashion designer? What do they do?" All of those questions, and then that's when I decided, कि, yeah, now I want to become a fashion designer because earlier I wanted to become a singer, I wanted to become a teacher, whatnot, like different things, but then seventh standard, I understood that this is what I want to do, and then like I slowly started knowing more about it, working towards it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think to have that clarity at such a young age, it's quite rare, right, Priyanka? And I think being in that environment where your parents also had so much experience and exposure to textiles, I feel like that was also feeding your curiosity in a lot of ways. But if someone does want to become a fashion designer, what do you think what would you recommend they study um, in like high school and university? So in India we have this structure where we go into commerce, science, or arts. We don't have a specialized field for the trades, or for
Mhm.
things like fashion design. So what would you recommend? What path do they take there?
So honestly, there's nothing specific. So most of my friends in college, they are from a commerce background. They've done economics, commerce, and stuff like that. But I come from a science background. I did maths, physics, chemistry, and computers in my 12th. So I don't think that. a specific subject for this is required or necessary, but a few qualities like being good at sketching, or paying attention to detail, observing things around you, knowing having a good understanding of colors, ki what looks good with what, and all of these things. I think these are things that you understand once you start observing things and people around you. And also, if you follow a lot of these fashion shows and all, it's always a pro for you, plus point for you, because that helps you in visualizing ki what can you do in your future, what are the kind of garments you can make, what is the scope.
So, like, for you, what was your understanding? Like, if I had to ask you, how would you define your fashion sense, Priyanka? How would you, put that down into words? Like, what is fashion for you?
For me, fashion and style are two different things. For my personal style, if I have to say, is very minimal, very basic, and I am not somebody who prefers wearing bold stuff or trendy stuff. I like to keep it classic. But when I design, it has to be out there. So my personality as a person and my personality on paper is completely different, because on with pen and pencil, with paper and pencil, I have that freedom to just do whatever I want. And then eventually, since I am a professional fashion designer, so I know the technicalities, and I know how I can make that, turn that into reality. So I keep pushing myself there, but as an individual, my style is very basic.
It's very interesting that there is that difference in your personal style and your professional sort of aesthetic, right?
Yes.
And like, so for someone like me, I've never really understood what fashion means for me. For me, it was all about comfort. And, I've never
Hmm.
put a lot of thought into it. So if I wanted to understand what my fashion is, how would I go about doing that? Like, what is my sort of understanding of the clothes I wear? And is it only limited to the clothes you wear, or are there other things involved in it as well?
I think the most important part of it is how you carry what you wear. So you can wear anything in the world, but if that's not making you feel confident, if that's not making you feel comfortable, it's going to show, and it's not, you won't like how you're feeling in it. So I think that's the most important thing. So whenever my friends, people who are not from the same background as me, whenever they ask me ki, what to wear, what kind of silhouettes to wear, what, like, according to their body styles and all of that. So I always tell them ki just go enter a store, try as many clothes as you want, because trying is free. You don't have to pay it to try. Try different silhouettes, understand ki is, are you feeling comfortable in this? Is it going with your body style? And do you see another very important point I tell people is I ask people is, do you see yourself wearing this particular garment multiple times with different things? So if you're able to, so if you're going to buy a t-shirt, and you know that you can wear it with five different things, maybe with a jacket, with an overshirt, with jeans, trousers, five different styles, then it's going to be a good investment for you.
Yeah, that actually clarifies a lot of things, because sometimes I think it's such a subjective answer, right? And it's also based on how you perceive yourself, physically and mentally. And I think you really, like, broke that down really well. And, because you grew up around a family that was involved in textiles, and India as a country has such a rich history of textiles. So I'm just curious, like, what do you mean by a textile, and what are the different kinds of textiles we can find in a country like India, Priyanka?
Okay, so we have textiles made out of different fibers, right? So a fiber is a yarn, and you a collection or like an arrangement of yarns is a textile. So you get different types of textiles in India. You get natural, you get synthetics. So synthetics are textiles made using chemicals, polyester, all of these things. There are a lot of blends also that you get, where you blend natural and synthetic textiles, and then there's 100% natural, which is cottons. You get silk, you get wool. You also get hemp, linen. So all these are natural textiles. So most of the textiles that you find in stores, these are all machine made. Machine made is they feed the yarn to the machine and it keeps weaving like automatically, and it happens very fast. So these are all low cost textiles. The textiles that we work with at Asman, we work with handcrafted textiles where each yarn is hand woven. So somebody sits on the loom, it's called a hand loom. They sit on the loom and then they weave every single yarn. So that this is a very time taking process, but it's also sustainable because we to run these machines and all you need fuel, right? But this is all hand done, so it's a sustainable, it's a green process. And yes, so it also comes from our rich heritage, right? Rich history. So I feel like personally for me, we have two cores at Asman. One is we everything that we make is going to be sustainable, and second is everything that we make, it's going to be handmade. Handmade because we want that personal touch in our garments, that story. Our garments tell a story. For example, what I'm wearing right now, it's a batik printed textile that we've used for this. It's 100% cotton. So what they do is they use wax, and the areas that they don't want to color, they put wax there, and the rest of the area they dye. So it's a very very detailed technique, and it takes a lot of time. So it has a story along with it. So yes, so these are some of the handcrafted textiles that we have in our country, and a lot of these are around, like according to the government of India, 35, almost 35 of these are going extinct. So yeah, so that's why it's our main aim to make these relevant to the youth today, so that they become the customers of tomorrow.
And I think that is like such a big mission of your organization, Asman, is to connect those Indian heritages and the youth in our country, right? In terms of the clothes that people wear, Priyanka, is there like a preference for people from the western part of India to wear certain garments and people from the northern or the eastern part? So how does that vary? How do our dressing styles get defined in some way by our cultures and backgrounds?
Okay, so the southern part of India, it's usually very hot, right? Around 9 to 10 months of summer. So people here prefer wearing a lot of cottons. They can't polyester, mein they can't survive because the weather is not that uh, polyester friendly. So most of the people here wear cottons, lightweight cottons, and especially lighter colors because it's good to wear lighter colors in such a climate. Northern parts of India, during winters and all, people wear a lot of woolen stuff. So the wool fabric, it doesn't sell a lot here, but it sells there in the northern parts of India. In the east, in the like Seven Sisters side, they wear a lot of they wear silks. They make silks also there. So there's one silk called Ahimsa silk, which is silk extracted from the silkworms without killing them. So that is why it's called ahimsa. It's not. It's also called non-violence silk. So people wear silk there, and they also wear a lot of their hand-woven traditional textiles, which is I feel it lacks in the northern part of the country because north has adopted fast fashion very quickly, and you also get clothes for very cheap in North India. So people they follow trends, they buy whatever is in the trend, and then later they discard it. In the Rajasthan, Gujarat side, there are a lot of craft clusters there, so they do a lot of block printings, and people who are like very traditional, they wear their poshaks, and otherwise they wear these all handcrafted cottons also. They wear a lot of cottons there because again, Rajasthan side, it's mostly usually warm. It's hot during the winters. Maybe 2 months it's a little cooler, but otherwise it's very warm. So yeah, so this is the split in general, and yeah, yes.
Like I know, like after high school, you decided to pursue a degree in fashion design, and it was at one of the premier institutions teaching that in the country. So when you study fashion design, how is the course broke down? Like if you can break that down for me and tell me what are some of the things you learned in that course and at your time in that university.
Okay, at my 4 years at NIPS, so first year was general. So all the departments, so there are different departments: textile design, knitwear design, accessory design, fashion design. So 4, 5 of these departments, and all of us they mix all of us in a class, and they teach the same things for one whole year. So it's a little bit of everything, a little bit of they even taught us woodwork, metal work, and all that. So it's textiles and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of everything in the first year, and a lot of focus is on sketching and all basics of sketching. You don't have to go like pro, but very basics. Second year, mein, they divide us into the classes according to our preference. So since I was in fashion design, my entire class of 30 people were all fashion design students, and they teach us basics. So how, like when you want to make an outfit, how do you start? So you do cutting, stitching, draping. So these are the techniques to construct a garment. And then slowly they go a little advanced. They teach you advanced silhouettes and embroideries, dyeing, all of these things. They even in after second year, they send us to craft clusters. Craft clusters are small areas where people practice crafts. So they send us to different villages, towns to study. So we went to a craft cluster near Hyderabad itself, and we stayed there for 7, 10 days. We observed their lifestyle, how they do the crafts, interviewed them, and we did all of those things. Third year is again a little advanced, and then we have industry internship after that. So they send us to export houses, design houses, and places like that to gain that professional experience and understand what we want to do in the future. And fourth year they teach us again a little bit of entrepreneurship we had, and we also had portfolio making and all of these things. And then the last semester is where we make our own collection. So it's a final collection, which eventually we show it in a fashion show, and we are graded. So it's our final work of whatever we've learned so far, and yes. So this is how it goes. The 4 years at NIFT.
And that's, I think it's nice that you have a final product at the end of the course because that's sort of a transition into the real world as well, where you can actually go about creating more collections. I know during your time at NIFT, Priyanka, you did a lot of internships, within
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
the area that you were studying at. So, what was your experience in these internships, and why do you think internships are great ways to pick up skills when you're learning fashion design?
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, that I believe in minimalism, and all my style is very minimal. So until then, it was like that. But when we went to, so I was sent to a designer house and for internship after my third year, and the work they do is very intricate. Ek cheese, they take care of every single, even a single dot. So that's where I learned to do intricate work, and I understood ki like there's a market for this, and it's not as easy as it looks, because to make one design I spent weeks there. So even the ideating process, and also we have a specific process that we follow to create something, our design process, where we take inspiration from things around us, or it can be nature, it can be some culture thing, it can be a festival, whatever, for example. And then we derive colors from that, we derive silhouettes from that, we like keywords, and then slowly start making our designs. And for to make a collection of 5 6 designs, we make at least 100 200 designs, and then 5 6 are selected out of that. So this is the design process we had to go through, and then our mentor there, he picked out a few designs, and this is what we did there. So we also got to make a few samples there, so we understood how it really works in a design house, because none of us had that experience. None of us knew how we, because we never know how a business works until we are a part of it, right? So it gave us a lot of practical exposure, and we understood how to talk to the staff there, the karigars, the tailor, the master G's. So we understood all of that.
And like I know you mentioned this term called fast fashion, Priyanka. So what is the difference between fast fashion and I don't know, regular or slow fashion? And is there a preference for a particular kind of fashion in urban and rural areas? If you could throw some light on that.
So I believe that India initially, like since the very beginning, people have been their choices have been very sustainable. If when they buy something, people try to get the maximum use out of it. पहले they'll wear the outfit, वो if that, if that gets stained or something, they'll make it into a pocha, and stuff like that. So India, the habits have been very sustainable, but after modernization and all of that, there are a lot of brands that have come to India, right? For example, the big brands that you see in the malls, I don't want to name those, but what they do is they follow the trends, and they churn out new collections every 1 week, every 2 weeks, every month. So because of this, and also because of social media influencers and all, people have started buying a lot, and they wear once and they throw these away because these are cheap. These are not expensive things. You get something for $500, you wear that once, you throw it away. So people have started consuming fast fashion a lot, especially the younger generations. They buy stuff for an occasion, and then they don't look at it after that. So that is what I meant by fast fashion. There's ultra fast fashion also, where companies like Shein or others, they churn out, they upload new products every day. So there are new, and they copy, and they follow a lot of unethical practices. Most of these companies, they don't pay well to their labor. It's not even the minimum wage that's required. They don't treat them well. They don't give any credits to them, and it's very unethical, the practices that go on. So this is what is fast fashion basically. And otherwise there's nothing like normal fashion. It's either fast fashion or slow fashion. Slow fashion is when companies, they churn out new collections every year, so it's very slow, maybe once in a year or twice in a year. And their garments are mainly simple, minimal, classy, which you can keep repeating. So that's what is meant by slow fashion, and they're very mindful in their production. So when you buy something from a slow fashion brand, it's going to be a little more pricier than fast fashion, but it will last you very long. So their focus is on quality. Their focus is on paying the workers well. Their focus is on originality. So this is what a lot of slow fashion brands do. And slow fashion can is also very sustainable, because again the wastage is low. Most of them make it on order. It's custom made a lot of times, so wastage is low. And yeah, the time they take to make those, it's not like you order something on Myntra and you get it in 2 days, 3 days. No, it'll take time because they make it for you according to your specifications. But that's why it's called slow fashion. They teach you how to wait for what you've ordered. And sustainable in general is a term to describe how the garment is produced, what are the values of the brand.
So for like a brand like Asman, like from the point of conception to the product being created. Like, can you, help me understand the economics and the time that it would take for um, like your brand to create a product from ideation to sending it to the customer, that sending that final piece to the customer?
Okay, so our designing process, it starts with again taking inspiration, understanding what kind of products do people like to wear. We've participated in a few offline exhibitions in various part of the country, and we've understood key people in the northern part like something else, people in south like some, even in south people in Bangalore like something else, and people in Hyderabad like something else. So we have to keep all this in mind while designing. So we preferably go with very basic classic silhouettes, which people can buy any time of the year, any season, be it summer, winter, whatever, and it's and stuff that we can sell all year round over across the country. So we start with our research. We do a lot of research. I love doing research. I was known in my class for research. So I sit in front of my laptop. I talk to a lot of people. I take feedback from our customers. Yeah, what worked for them, what did not work for them, all of these things. And then I start talking to my artisans. We see what is the collection that that they have, what can they make for us. If they have to make something for us, then that takes a lot of time. That takes at least 1 to 2 months to for us to get the raw material only. And then earlier we used to do the manufacturing in house, but now we outsource it. So that takes another 15 to 30 days. So whatever collection we want to release, we need to start planning at least 4 5 months in advance. That's the minimum. So it takes around to go to reach the customer from the ideation stage. It takes around 5 to 6 months.
Got it. And what's the story behind Asman? Like, why did you, name it Asman, and where did that brand actually emerge from?
Okay, so Asman, so in my seventh standard, when I decided that I wanted to be a fashion designer, that's when I even decided the name that I want to call it Asman. And I did not share it with anybody except my brother. Then I don't know why, I was just very attracted to that name. I loved it. I just fell in love with the name. So the name was already decided for me, but I actually wanted to be an occasion of bridal wear designer, like do heavy stuff, embroidered stuff, and all that. And I wanted to do this till the third year of my second year of my college, before we went to the craft cluster. So when we went to the craft cluster, I met this artisan who was weaving a very unique fabric, and nobody in the entire city or like town knew how to weave it. Nobody in the entire town knew it, and he was partially blind. No, and his wife also was partially blind. So there was this story, and that got me thinking, what will happen to this craft after him? And he is pretty old, so I kept thinking about it even after we came back. And then I realized ki if this is the condition of one craft that nobody knows about, then imagine how many crafts are, going to go extinct like this. So that's when I thought ki let me do something in this space. And slowly, like after college, I realized so I'm a COVID pass out. So I finished college in 2020, and the job market was very bad then. I was getting a couple of job offers, but I was not convinced. So that's when I started researching more, and I understood. I decided that I want to do something in this space because it will also feed my soul. Like if I'm able to help one craft, if I'm able to pull one craft out of extinction, then my purpose is solved. So that's how I decided, and then I took my time for my research. Again, I researched for 1.5 year. I spoke to many artisans, got samples, and then did a lot of pivots, and then finalized that this is what I want to do.
I know at this time you were also working at Franz Exports, which is like a
Hmm.
family sort of
Hmm.
enterprise. Did you feel like working in that company while building your own company helped you build sort of an entrepreneurial mindset? And what kind of support would you say you got from your close family members and friends to, build that, entrepreneurial approach to life?
Okay, so I've been very fortunate to have a very solid support system around me. My parents have always been supportive, and since I come from a business background, I've seen businesses in my family. As a kid, I did not even know कि what is a job, job क्या होता है. I got to know from my friends because that was not the conversation we were having at home, right? So my parents have always been supportive. Fortunately, my brother has always been there for me. If there's some, he's 1 year younger to me, but if there's something, if there's any issue, he's the first person I go to. Ki, what should I do? And my friends also have been like I said, I've had a very solid support system. My friends have been very supportive. Whenever I'm feeling low, whenever I felt like giving up, my friends gave me a really nice reality check. They've given me so many pep talks. So I think that it really worked in my favor. And Fran Experts is my father's company. He's a business consultant, and we are the middlemen between brands like KFC, Pizza Hut, Biba, Tanishq, all of these big brands, and the clients, so investors, people who want to open like a franchisee or who want to tie up with them, we help them do that. So I initially I used to do all the graphic design work for him, but I recently joined as a partner because I learned so much about business and all of that. So I like, let me also give this a shot. And I remember whenever my dad used to talk to his clients on phone, I don't know why I would pick a lot of things and I would remember. And during his discussions, when he would forget, I would like start jumping and remind him ki this is the conversation that happens. You're like, you should join my company because nobody else is going to, focus so much on this other than you. So I joined him, and it's still like I'm still learning a lot. It's been a great experience. He takes me to most of his meetings, and I get to learn something new every single day because of this. So I'm enjoying this.
Right, in a way, you're actually doing one or two full jobs. You're running Asman and
Yes.
you're building Fran Exports with your family. So I think it's really commendable how you're. Do you find it hard to balance both of these at the same time?
Honestly, right now, no. Earlier, maybe 2 years back or 1 year back, if you would have asked, I'd say yes. But now I feel it's comparatively easier because we've outsourced our production also right now. So I don't have to. I just have to, call the manufacturer and take like updates from them. But I don't have to sit there for 15 hours a day and, keep a check. Earlier, I had to do that, and it took up a lot of my time. So I feel now, because of this, I'm able to focus on both the things well.
Got it. And like for a fashion designer that creates a collection, Priyanka, what is the way for them to get it out into the world? Because I was looking at your website and you have this platform called Minis, which is run by Swiggy, I think, where you're able to put up your work. So let's say there's a young fashion designer that has a collection that she has designed. How does she get it out to the customer using the internet as one sort of space?
I think social media is the best place to start. We started from social media. We started posting our images there, and then we built our website. So our website is currently under construction. We are shifting the platform, but it was eventually built on Zoho. And yeah, and all of social media is the key. Content is the key. And if suppose you are loaded and you have like a lot of cash, then aggregators any day, because they give you a lot of exposure, they help you reach clients that you otherwise may take a lot of time to reach. So aggregators like Myntra and Ajio, a lot of people sell apparel on Flipkart, Amazon. So these are great, but it's investment heavy there.
And like, how much would it cost to set up like a store, or to like set up like a brand on an aggregator in India? Like, if you had to break that down.
So, number wise, I'm not the right person, but so we've been getting to know their terms because we also wanted to list, and we got to know that on Myntra, for example, you need to have 100 SKUs before you list. 100 SKUs is 100 different designs. It can be different colors or stuff like that. So that, and then in apparel, for every design, you have multiple sizes, right? So now you can do the math. You need to have a lot of inventory for that. And when you have a lot of inventory, a lot of your capital gets stuck there.
I think up front, it's quite hard for an independent sort of designer to create that sort of ecosystem, right?
Yes, if you're just starting out after college or maybe 1, 2 years of work experience and you have a limited working capital, content is the key for you. You reach people through social media and figure stuff out. What we did was, since it was all online, we also participated in a few offline exhibitions around 9 to 10, just so we could meet our customers, observe their reaction to our products, and understand what they are liking, what they're not liking, what is working for them. So this is what we did, and it worked for us because a lot of people who bought from us from these pop-ups, they got back to us again and for repeat orders, and they also recommended our brand to their friends and in their network. So that worked for us. But otherwise, also, I think social media is a good place to focus on.
Got it. So like the basic business model is you can have physical pop-ups, or you can, create like a basic online store and maybe
Mhm.
like your payments from. So do you use apps like Razorpay or Instamojo to collect payments? Is that how it normally works?
Yes, so we have Razorpay and PayUmoney on our website. But since that's not working, like that's under construction right now, we picked Swiggy Minis because people trust Swiggy. They've already built that trust factor. So we thought ki let's just capitalize on that, and we built our store there, and it's easier for. So they also, so you since you must be already using Swiggy, their payments and all, they're very easy. They have very easy options there. So I think that's why we chose that platform. Yes, but
Like, I was just thinking, like, like brands like Swiggy or Blinkit, I think even Myntra and Agio, in a way, in the process of being an aggregator, they're also creating so many different entrepreneurs, right? Because people are using their network to actually create products. And in a way, the incentives go down to the craftsperson that is actually building this on the ground. And I think economies of scale also plays out there, where rather than selling things only to people in their environment, using these platforms, they have the entire country and world slowly opening up to them. Like for you,
Mhm.
Priya, I'm just curious, what are some brands that you think are doing really amazing work to bridge this gap between, Indian heritage and the youth? So I know your brand, like Asman, is doing great work, but do you see other young designers doing something similar where they take that sustainability approach to building a brand or a fashion brand?
Yes, so there's one brand called Pinkley where they work with craftsmen, and they develop. So they are in a little premium category. Their price range is around 4-5 thousand or so, and You should look them up. They are very good. Pinkly is one such brand. There's Okai. Okai has been there for a while now, and their story, it's beautiful. Whenever you get the chance, open their Instagram, and they show the creators. They work with a lot of women, so they show their stories. They also their craftswomen are their brand ambassadors. So Okai is beautiful. There's another brand called the Jodi Life. It's my favorite. They work with a lot of, again, very bold block prints, and even they fall in a little premium category, but their work is fabulous. So these are three brands that I really look up to in this space. But there are a lot of new brands that are working. Of course, there's Fab India. Everybody knows Fab India. So what Fab India is doing earlier, their silhouettes were targeted to a mature audience, but now they've also started their youth collections. So a lot of Western wear, a lot of things that people can wear on a regular basis. So I think that is also, it's like their collection is really good. It's doing really well, and there are a lot of hundreds of brands, thousands of brands working in this same space. But what it's important to have so many brands also, because this is a huge issue that we are going to face. If people don't work towards it, then these crafts are going to go extinct. So we need a lot of people doing the same thing for one big cause.
Yeah, and in terms of this sustainability approach, why do you think designers should be sustainable with their, with their vision in general?
Why do I think designers should be sustainable? I think it's good for the economy also. You pay well to your artisans, you pay well to your workers, and then they are able to take care of their families well. They are going to be able to take care of the education of their kids well. They will do something in the future. So I think first it's good for the economy. Second, it's good for the environment. If you're using natural fabrics, uh, these are fabrics that let your body breathe, right? They are also not going to suffocate the planet like polyesters and stuff like that. So polyester takes at least 500 years to decompose. Whereas cottons and natural fabrics are lesser, they take lesser time. Not that they decompose immediately, that's not going to happen, but they take lesser time. And it's also like you don't, so to make polyesters, you use a lot of fuel, a lot of fossil fuel. You don't use that for natural fabrics. So I think it's good for the environment, it's good for the people, it's good for the skin. So I think these are like good enough reasons for people to go sustainable, go green.
Yeah, and I feel like it's such a big marketing and communication issue, right? Especially when you're talking about Indian heritage and connecting, with the youth. So, how do you think new media is being used to address this gap? Like, is it like primarily print ads, or do you think more brands are adopting social media today?
I think it's social media. It is our target audience is on social media. Our target audience is not reading newspapers, right? They're not even looking at hoardings as much. So I think social media is the key. So there's this rise of influencer culture. People are looking up to these influencers. Your favorite influencer wears a nice shirt. Tomorrow you want it. So this culture has gone up like crazy, especially in the Gen Z sex segment. So I think social media, it is videos. If you can, put like a lot of, if you're going with a storytelling angle, a lot of pictures, a lot of videos will really help convey your message to people. And Gen Z today is very conscious. They think about all of these things. A lot of people, as compared to like millennials or like others, Gen Z is actually very conscious. They're aware. They know what they want. They know what they don't want. So I think social media is the key right now. We don't know what it's going to be in the future, but right now it is.
And I know as an organization, you've actually been part of so many incubators and programs like Jagriti Yatra. So how do you think these programs helped you on your journey as an entrepreneur?
Okay, so I was a very, like I also mentioned in the beginning, I was a very silent kid. I'm a huge introvert, still a huge introvert. I struggle with starting conversations with people, interacting with them. But these programs actually help me open up. Number one, they help me keep conversations going. They help me, they taught me how to approach people, and they didn't do it directly, but since everybody was doing and I was not, I had that FOMO and then I started putting myself out there. So, of one is open, they helped me open up. Second is they taught me everything that I know about entrepreneurship, everything that I know about business is from all these programs. As a creative person, somebody from a creative field, we are not taught about um, looking at the business aspect of things, the commercial aspect of things. We don't know anything about finances, numbers, nothing. So these programs actually help me understand what goes into building a business, what goes into telling a story, and all of these different things. What are the numbers that you should know? How do you calculate these numbers? So very basic. I had no idea. I was just fresh out of college, and that's when I got selected for the incubation by NSRCL in Bangalore. So that's where I learned everything. And I've not spent a single rupee till now after my college to learn all of these things. All these programs were sponsored for me. Like the incubation at NSRCL was sponsored by Kotak. The program that I'm doing right now also, which is a PG certificate, this is also fully sponsored by SIDBI, and all of the other incubations, other programs also have been sponsored. We got pre-incubated by TSIC as well, which is Telangana State Innovation Cell, in with their I2E lab करके there's a program. So we got pre-incubated by them with TSIC, and we also got selected for industry disruptors by UN Women. So that was like a 2-3 days ka workshop or something like that. And yeah, so everything, all of this was free. I didn't have to pay any money for any of these. And they've given me so much. I've learned so much. And even the way that I'm talking to you right now, I would not have spoken like this 4 years back, because they've instilled this confidence in me. And now you tell me to pitch tomorrow, I will do it without preparing. So they've made me very confident.
And I think that's amazing for a young person to know, is that there are so many support systems and opportunities that you can tap into if you are building something that. And I feel like your vision, where you are aligning your company's purpose with a larger goal of making things in India, of promoting this idea of Indian artisans to the world. I think that's such a strong sort of larger vision. I feel a lot of people would want to really jump on board. So for my last question, Priyanka, I know as a designer, you are naturally like a creative person. So in India or around the world, can you tell me two or three designers that you have always been inspired by, and why does their story inspire you so much?
So the one designer that has been my role model since I was a kid is Manish Malhotra. Everybody knows him, and I didn't know about his story earlier until I had to make a project. Like we had a project when I was doing my advanced diploma. We had to make a presentation about our role model in the industry. So I made a presentation on Manish Malhotra, and that's when I researched about him, and I got to know that he's not from a design background. He's not studied design. He was interested in it, so he worked somewhere. He learned everything there, and after that, he started his work. He started getting movie projects and stuff like that. And slowly, slowly, that's how he built his name and his brand. So I think that is one very inspiring story for me. And that's because of him, I think somewhere I was also interested in getting into the bridal wear segment and all this couture segment. So, Manish Malhotra. Other designers that I look up to, I really like Amit Agarwal's work. If you see, his work is like none other, and the textures that he uses, the materials that he uses for his designs, it's very international. It gives a very international look, and coming from India, it's beautiful. Another a designer that I really like is Rahul Mishra. He uses a lot of embroideries in his work, and he's well known across the world. He does international fashion shows, and he's one among the very few designers who's got to do these shows. So these are the three designers I'm really inspired by, and I really look up to. I always like open their pages to check their new work, open their websites, try to understand what is something new that they are doing, what are the embroideries they are doing. So these are all couture designers, and I love all of their work.
Yeah, and it seems to me like as a fashion designer, you have to always keep learning, and you have to always, be open to new ideas. And, ideas are coming in from all sort of spaces, but you always pursued education. You're constantly following your favorite designers. So I think that's really inspiring to see, Priyanka. And, like, do you have any final pieces of advice for someone that's just starting off as a fashion designer, building their brand? Like from your experience, what are one or two pieces of advice you would give them to end this podcast?
So, one very important advice that I always give is, as creative people, we tend to focus more on the creative side of the business, and we let someone else take care of the finances or the other things that look boring to us. But knowing your numbers is the most important thing ever as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. I always give this same advice to everybody everywhere, because I didn't know my numbers and I had to pay a huge cost for that. So it's very important to know that. It's important to have people who can advise you, people, if maybe your friends who are CAs, people elder to you, people who've done stuff, who've done businesses, to advise you on your finances, on your numbers. So it's always, this is the one top tip for everybody to is to know your numbers and figure out how to do it. Even if you're not good at math, it's okay, you can learn it, and it doesn't even require a lot of math.
I think that's such a great note to end this, and I think it's so inspiring to see how you've combined design and entrepreneurship, Priyanka. I will be including links to Priyanka's work on the internet, other podcasts. She's won a lot of awards, for being such an inspiring young entrepreneur. But it's really hard to cover her journey and her vision in one small talk. Is it okay if I can link your LinkedIn in the show notes as well, Priyanka?
Sure, sure, sure. Yes.
Perfect. So if you're a young designer listening to this, or if you're someone that's interested in fashion and entrepreneurship, please do follow Priyanka on social media. And I highly recommend, looking up Asman as an organization. I looked through their store, and hopefully I'm allowed, maybe I can buy one soon for, a loved one or for myself. So thank you again, Priyanka. And on this note, we end this episode of Learning Stories. Do stay tuned for so many such stories, and from young Indians doing amazing things to define the future of our country. And until next time, keep learning. And this is Abhishek Shetty signing off on this episode of Learning Stories.